Hello. Well, the Vino rod is getting some PTFE fuel lines. And so I'm going to demonstrate how I put this end on here. I was watching Muscle Car Solution, and he was doing a video on PTFE fuel line. And that's when I decided that that's what I wanted to put on the Vino rod. So it's his fault, Muscle Car Solution, all the drama, because there is drama. Putting together PTFE fuel line, the fittings on here are difficult. But I've put about 3 or 4 fittings on now, and I've got a lot better. So I'm going to demonstrate this one here. And I'll just let the video run. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I'm going to let it run so you can see exactly what, I'll bleep out the cuss words, but we'll see what happens. So a few different demonstrations that I've seen. I haven't yet seen anybody use a shear on this. I tried a very nice set of cutters, and it mashed it. So, and it was a very good quality cutter. So, what do I want to do next? Let's see, let's pull this towards here. So, this is Fargola fuel line and their fittings. And one of the things that Muscle Car Solution was saying in their video was that you don't want to mess around with the cheap stuff. But let me tell you, this stuff is close tolerance. And that's probably what you want when it comes to this type of stuff. So when you take this fitting apart, let me show you what one looks like. This is -6. And for some reason, this little collar they call an olive. And it slips on in that direction there. And then this is going to screw on. So I thought, since I was putting these fittings on, that this olive, I was going to use olive oil. That's one thing that I haven't seen anybody do putting this stuff together. I watched several videos, even Muscle Car Solution wasn't using extra virgin olive oil. So don't do what I do, but if you decide to use extra virgin olive oil, it's working out great. So I have made a few errors ruined a fitting already. And what I've learned is that you want to try to keep that tape on here as you make a very clean, straight cut. Probably have too much tape around it. So you don't want to put too much tape around it, because then you're back without any tape. And that was one of the failures I had on my second one, is I didn't have tape on there and I couldn't get it to go past. And you can see that that was quite a, took quite a bit to get that to push on. So now that I've got that on, so the first fitting, I tried to pry the plastic black coating here. I tried to pry it back, and the stainless steel webbing that's around the PTFE hose. I think it's a Teflon, if I'm not mistaken. And it was super difficult to try to get the olive set. So I scratched my head a little while, and I thought, man, how come this stuff is so difficult? I can't believe it's that difficult. So what I decided to start doing was, I'm taking this olive and cutting this black housing away. Not telling you that that's the way to do it. I'm just telling you that that's the way I'm doing it. And I'm going to pressure test this when I'm done. And if I don't have any leaks, well then, I don't see why you can't cut that black plastic around off of it. So it has like a 1/16 of an inch flange on it. So what I'll do is I kind of gauge it where that is going to set flat on that. And then I'm going to take a nice sharp blade and cut this back. So I'm probably going to demonstrate this with the difficulties that I had trying to get this to go, to get these fittings to go on. It doesn't do anybody any good if I'm able to do it without difficulties, because telling you, you're going to run into difficulties putting this stuff on. And what I've learned to do to get these guys to go on. Small little screwdriver, pick that up and flare it back to get that olive to slide in there on that fuel line. So this is a inserting tool for the olive. I like to dope these guys up with olive oil. just because a dry surface sometimes is not your friend. So this is an applicator that is a multi-applicator. Inside this Hootsy Watsy is another set. This is like -6 here and 4 and whatever. Yeah. Good channel. Lots of information. Muscle car solution. Lots. Carburetor up the wazoo information. Putting a lot of force on it. I've learned to put gloves on because of the wire. I've got AN wrenches, but I'm finding out even I'd like to take these because the marring. It's up to you if you care about marring. I just figure if I do my best not to mar it, if it does get marred, it's going to be minor. I'm trying to bring this up now. You can see I've slid this fitting up. Got it clamped in it. This is another suggestion by Muscle Car Solution was to get these jaws, which the only thing that I didn't get was the piece that there's a device that you can clamp it in and screw it together and it'll suck it together. It's a $200, $300, $400 for that setup, which if I was ever going to do it again, I probably would buy that tool. Okay, so I've got this pulled up, and you can see that here I've got a wire sticking, just one wire sticking out. See if I can push it in. I don't really want to get too crazy with it because there is threads on that inner piece. Okay, so let's see. What I've learned to do is to set that olive. I can't get that fitting on. I won't be able to get that fitting to thread up. So one of the things that I learned was to put this fella in this vise. And one of the things that I don't like to do is crimp that fitting in the vise to get this to set, because it takes a little force. And because of that force, you can mar up the fitting. So the idea that I came up with is to use this wrench with several pieces of yellow tape on it to catch the bottom half of this flared in this wrench and this jaw here as backup. And then I got me some 3/8 dowel, wooden dowel material. And what I end up doing is taking this dowel material and setting it on the face of the olive and just light tap it. Just making sure that that everything is hunky-dory, you know, like this thing ain't getting all wacky. Make sure that stays in there. This fuel line will be cleaned after I pressure test it. Well, maybe I'll take it apart, clean it, and then pressure test it. That way I don't have to take it apart again. But I have some fiberglass rod. I mean, you can spray like a cleaner. You can spray it in there, but what I want to do is, for me, I want to put this fiberglass rod in there in each fitting that I take apart. You know, there might be, if there's a 90 involved, obviously you're going to take the 90 out of the play. So when you're cleaning it, you got straights. But I plan on using the fiberglass rod, which is about, it's a little bit thicker than the end of that screwdriver there. And I'll be able to put a little bit of a rag on the end of that, clean it, and I'll be able to work it back and forth to knock off any boogers or anything that's gotten in there. Okay, so now I still like to use some of the extra virgin olive oil, and I like putting it on the face of this olive for just so, you know, it's not dry, so it won't gall. And then this fella, I do the same thing with the threads here on this big fella. So I've got the face of this and the threads here on that fitting. And then I'll put on there pretty liberally. You know, I mean, it's not gonna hurt the fuel line. Extra virgin olive oil won't hurt it. I'll step out on the cliff on that one. I can tell you that the extra virgin olive oil won't hurt your PTFE. You can take it from me. So, I know you guys might be able to do it a little quicker than me because I am blabbing. Okay, as you can see, it's not threading. So I'm going to put a little force on it to see if I can get it there. It looks like it's catching. Nope, not going yet. Might have it now. Yep.
just trying to watch how the fitting is going together, because with this tape on there, you don't get a good visual on that fitting. And I'm running into the other fitting, so you got to kind of watch out for that. I have taken one apart. I'll get it and I'll show it to you. This is where I had that problem. I didn't have this collar on, and you know, once it's flared, once you don't have that tape on there, sometimes that stuff can give you grief. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to focus in on that, but you can see how it seats. And then I don't know if you can see inside there, but it creates and seats in there. You know, it actually plows into that olive and creates a seat for it. So I feel pretty confident that, you know, I'm probably not going to have any leaks, but who knows? Okay, so that was full run time. I'm going to shut you off, and then I'll bring you back and we'll take a look at what I've done so far. Okay, well, you can see that I've got fittings going there on that in tank fuel pump, and you're not going to see back underneath, but I've got a couple of 90s on the ends of those turned down. And let's take a visit underneath. So you can see where I shot through the floor of the trunk, and then I brought it down through, gone through the little bit of the floor cross member, there's a little fitting there to hold them lines in place, through the frame again. That's my return line. And then my 10 micron filter. That's the fitting I'm putting together right now that you witnessed, that's going to screw on the end of that part of the fuel filter. Went through the frame there again, and there, and I've got a 90 turned up to go to my regulator, my fuel regulator. I got my windshield back. I've got installed. Probably going to leave that on for a few days just to make sure it's clamped up and going to stay. So what I've thought here on the firewall is that I would use this Holley regulator, and probably going to be in this place right here. Won't be able to have my pressure gauge because I've got to turn this fella in this direction because of the innie and outie and innie and outie. So this is where right here where you see my finger bouncing up and down, the little old pinky that went wee wee all the way home. Yeah, that guy. That's where the return goes. All right. Well, like I said, it's probably going to be fitting in this. So what I'm going to end up doing is figuring out those two locations. And then I guess I will have a gauge somewhere downstream past this regulator. Got the fuel lines finished up to where it's going to 90 up and come up to the firewall, but I'm not sure exactly where I want to end it here. I don't want to mount anything and then find out my fuel lines are too short because I have to route them down below the transmission flange. So I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to end that PTFE job until I can get the engine and the transmission setting in and I can finish up. Then that'll give me a better idea where that pressure regulator will go. Hey, that's it, fellas. Thanks for stepping in. And this is where she's ending today. And we'll see you soon, fellas.